Welcome to the Purity for Life podcast, episode 131, recorded on Sunday, July 19th, 2015. This week we start a new series called Accountability 101, Foundational Thoughts of Accountability. For more information on this podcast and other great content, visit purityforlife.me. Hey everyone, this is Frank Honus. I want to welcome you to something kind of brand new that I'm doing on the Purity for Life podcast. Jumping on Periscope, which is a kind of a cool app for broadcasting, doing live broadcasts, live video. I want to do some things a little different for the next few podcasts for the Purity for Life podcast, and just share some really quick kind of purity tips with you throughout the week. Some tips to kind of help you with sexual integrity, sexual purity as a man. If you're a woman and you need help and whatnot, probably, well, this Periscope is more for guys, but certainly we all struggle with sexual integrity at some point in our lives, I think, and certainly both genders, male and female, have their own struggles. And my story, if you remember, I've shared lots on the podcast, has been one of 13-year struggle, addiction to pornography. And in around 2009, I was able to kind of become free and walked in healing and recovery, and finally came to a place of brokenness in my life where I really found freedom, and it ever since that time, about the age of 26, the last 6 years have been just a journey towards sexual recovery and integrity, and I've just been on this process of healing and recovery, and I've been helping guys. So just a little snippet of my story, but you can go on to purityforlife.me to check out the all kinds of great content, past podcasts that I've done. All kinds of stuff is on there. A lot of great help for you if you need help in this area of sexual integrity. If you're struggling with pornography, if you're struggling with, hey everyone too, appreciate the hearts if you guys are enjoying this, or if there's a certain part of this Periscope that I say, if I mention something that's helpful to you, just bang on those hearts there. It'd be helpful to me. I welcome you guys to this Periscope. So I want to use this Periscope as kind of a, to share several tips, things that I've learned throughout my recovery. Sexual addiction is very much like alcohol addiction, very much like drug addiction, where the brain is essentially, on overdrive, and there's chemicals being released, and you are tapping into your areas of your brain that cause and form addiction. Neural pathways are created, and this is a really, really incredibly addictive struggle that we have. And so with pornography, with masturbation, with acting out, these are huge struggles for guys. And so what I want to do, though, tonight, I don't want to, I can go off into 100 different tangents, but I really want to focus in on accountability for the next several Periscopes and that I share. Accountability. If you are a person who struggles with some kind of sexual addiction, if you struggle with some kind of a pornography addiction, if you struggle with fantasy, lust in your mind, acting out, whatever that is, you need people around you that are going to help you. You cannot beat this addiction. You cannot beat this struggle by yourself. There's just no way you can do it. We need the help of other people in our lives. And so that is what accountability is. So I just want to share some foundational kind of thoughts about accountability, what I think accountability really is, what it should look like. And I just want to share kind of 5 thoughts with you guys to kind of start off the conversation a little bit about what accountability really is. So just five real quick thoughts, and then, like I said, in the next next several periscopes, we'll get more into what accountability is and what that looks like, some more practical things. But what is accountability really? When I say that word, without you going to the dictionary, what does accountability really mean for a person who's struggling with sexual integrity? I think that accountability is the open, honest sharing of your life with someone who loves you and can challenge you to be better. It's you being willing to open your life to let that person see, to let someone look into your life and see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and to love you enough, and who's willing to love you and can handle hearing your story and hearing your struggles and hearing you talking about your addiction and challenging you to be better, not just patting you on the back, when you share something, that you've dealt with, and just, it's okay, you'll be all right, just, I'll pray for you, get over it, or whatever, you're okay. But somebody who's willing to really, say, I love you enough, and I want to hear you, I want to listen to you, but I also want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to do A, B, and C. I want to challenge you to not go back to not repeat that mistake, to learn from your struggle. Somebody who's willing to listen, but also who's willing to offer us encouragement and challenge to help us to become better. So that's what I really think accountability is. It's not just a pat on the back. It's not just somebody who is going to listen and not say anything, even though listening is very, very important, but it's a person who's able to listen, who's able to love you through the process, but can also challenge you to be better. So that's accountability. The second thing I think about, in this accountability 101 kind of, session here, is that sharing your accountability is really about sharing your slips. It's about sharing your, sorry, I had my notes up here and my computer's wanting to go to black. So you're sharing your slips, you're sharing your relapses, you're sharing your fears, your questions, your confusions, your longings, your emotional needs, etc., right? It's not just about sharing, all the ways you feel like that you failed, that you've messed up, but it's sharing everything. It's really going to those places where you're willing to share, the last time you looked at porn, the last time you masturbated, the last time you lusted, those kinds of things, slips, relapses. But it's also about sharing what it is that you're afraid of. The deep questions that you might have about recovery. Am I really able to get better? Am I really able to find healing, to think clearly? Your confusions, your longings, the things you have inside. I talk a lot about, with my guys, I talk a lot about the acronym that we use for triggers called HALT, which is hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Are you able to share your longings and your needs with that person? Like I said, whether your triggers, what you feel like kind of cause the addiction, whatever it might be, but your longings, your emotional needs, the things that you're feeling that are totally empty, that you're using porn to medicate. It's sharing everything. That should be the content and the guts, to me, of a real true accountability relationship with someone, that you can share anything and everything. And that person is a safe person. That person is secure. You're able to really listen, or that person's able to really listen and hear you out. So you're sharing all kinds, like I said earlier, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Number 3, accountability can only work, and this is really important. Accountability can only work if the person who is struggling, right? If you're struggling, if you initiate contact at the very least, I'd say on a weekly basis, right? Accountability is not, and I don't want to be real careful how I say this, because I know it's very important. Your accountability partner, needs to be a person who, and we're going to get to this in a second, who's consistent, but you have to be the one that initiates contact. It's your responsibility, right? It's my responsibility to initiate contact with my friend Rob, right? Who is a coach, who's a mentor to me. He's a guy that I meet with once a month. There's other people I talk to, certainly, but it's important for me to say, hey, Rob, we have a meeting set up, right? This time, this place, we're going to talk about this, right? I need to talk. We need to sit down. This is some things I want to talk about. I can't expect Rob to be the one to reach out to me and say, hey, when are we doing this? When are we doing this? Because this struggle, my recovery is my recovery. It's not Rob's recovery. So I need to be the one to initiate contact, to really, check in and share what's going on. And at the very least, especially, initially coming out of, sexual addiction, it needs to be on a weekly basis. Now, I'm at the place that and I'm not saying this that I'm at any better than anyone, because I'm not. I'm very much on this journey myself, but I have, the last 6 years I've been walking in recovery. So obviously throughout that last 6 years, I've been, getting better and growing. And I sit down and meet with my friend, my brother Rob. He's a mentor. He's a coach to me, at least once a month. There are other people that are in my life that I try to talk to on a semi-regular basis, and I try to really share my life with. My own wife is a source of, I don't want to say accountability per se, but she's certainly an open and honest source that I go to, that I can be totally and completely honest and open with, that I know I can talk to, and I share struggles with, oftentimes share questions and tell her when I'm feeling triggers and whatnot. But so there are people in my life, but I have got to be the one responsible to do it, right? So number 3 is that. Number 4, there's a couple, sub points to this that I think we need to just real quickly explore. Accountability partners should typically be in the range of these qualifications. Well, I say qualifications, characteristics. These should be kind of like character traits of a good accountability partner, if you will. Number 1, they need to be the same gender. I believe that if you're a guy, you need to find another guy, another brother, who you can be accountable to, who you can share everything with. If you're a girl, find a girl. Keep it simple. Keep it just straightforward, to the point, like that. Don't, guys, don't try to think that you're gonna have an open, honest sharing of your struggles, of your life, of things that you're dealing with, that you're struggling with, addictions, with a girl. Okay, it's just not smart. It's not really healthy. It doesn't make sense to do that. So, find a person of the same gender, another brother, another sister, right? If you're a guy, find a guy. If you're a girl, find a girl who can really understand and relate to the feelings that you have, to the thoughts and whatnot that you're dealing with. Right, so they need to be the same gender. They also need to be older. I think, well, they don't have to be older, but let me say it probably is good and wise that they're a little older, okay? And certainly they need to be mature. Spiritually, emotionally, there needs to be a level of health and maturity in their life. They need to have an active relationship with God. They need to be pursuing God and pursuing integrity. And this is probably not a person that is also struggling the same way you are. That's why, hence the word mature. This needs to be someone who has either maybe they've dealt with this issue in the past, so that's okay. Maybe they've really, focused on this issue. Maybe they're a former addict. Maybe they're have had a former addiction to porn, or to whatever, to acting out, to masturbation, whatever. But they have walked through a process of recovery, of healing in their life, and that's okay. That's totally okay. But a person who's not really struggling in this area, somebody who's spiritually mature, who is older, and then the next qualification is important, especially they need to be consistent. And again, this is kind of referencing the earlier point that I was making. This doesn't mean that they're the one who's hunting you down. Okay, this isn't a person who is, who you're expecting to track you down, to call you every 24 hours. Now, certainly that's something that you can set up if you want in your relationship, but accountability really needs to start, I think, with you. It needs to be your desire. It needs to be your, longing to have that in your life, not the other person's responsibility for your recovery. But they need to be someone who's consistent. So if you call them, right, or you text them, or you leave them a voicemail, you should expect that they should call you back. right? Or they should respond in some way, you know? So they need to be consistent in their relationship with you, in their talking with you, in their communication with you. They need to be a listener, right? They need to be someone who's willing to hear everything and to listen to your struggles, to right, like just what you said earlier, your fears, your relapses, your slips, all those things. They need to be a listener, but they also need to be, the last qualification, a challenger, somebody who can really help you by saying, by listening, by affirming, by loving you, but also saying, okay, so what do we do? Let's set up a game plan here. Let's set up some guidelines. Let's kind of set up some boundaries for you, or let's set up a purity action plan, for your life, and they're gonna offer you challenge. They're not gonna be condemning. They're not going to be, guilting you or shaming you, but they're going to really kind of challenge you in the areas that you struggle, and also give you guidance and advice about, areas that you're weak in, things that you should try and, that you want to try to learn from, and not repeat mistakes that you've made. That's helping us grow, right? And so those are the things. The same gender, somebody who's older, probably, I'd say, probably could be older, spiritually mature, consistent, who's a listener, who's a challenger. And the last kind of thought I wanted to share about accountability tonight is that accountability, this is so huge, I think. This is so huge, but I try not to be really long with it. Accountability should eventually transition into coaching as you get better. So as you grow, as you find healing in your own purity journey, in your own recovery, that accountability should be more turning into coaching on the other person's part, where, a coach helps you to grow, helps you to kind of walk through stuff, who's not going to always pick you up, who's not going to always give you the answer. They're going to, be there. They're going to be there to love on you, but they're going to be less stringent, I guess you could say, in their challenge to you, because they're a coach, right? They're not necessarily your accountability partner, if you will. They are someone who's there for you, who has your back, but maybe someone who's going to let you struggle a little bit. Not to the point where they give up on you, certainly. That's not what I'm saying at all. But they're going to let you kind of, walk through some stuff. They're going to let you kind of, in a healthy way, kind of struggle through some things. And there should be a place where you come to where we don't need someone holding our hand every single second of the day. And I'm not saying that's what accountability partners do, but, that accountability, right, needs to eventually turn into more coaching. And then that coaching should continue, I think, throughout our whole lives. I don't think there should never be a day that I live where there's no one coaching me in my life. I'm going to always need that. I always want that. I don't ever want to get to a place where I say, I think I'm good to go. I think I'm covered. I don't really need anybody's help. I've got this. I'm pretty mature. That's just prideful, right? I mean, those are prideful things. Those are just, really incredibly, not just arrogant mindset, arrogant thinking. So, but I always want somebody to be able to coach me. So those are some, foundational thoughts about accountability that I think are really important for us as we walk in sexual integrity, as we walk in sexual purity. And those are just kind of 5, foundational kind of thoughts that I to start this conversation about accountability, what it is, what it should look like. I want us to continue the conversation, and I want to continue doing these periscopes. So if these are helpful to you, I want to do these several times throughout the week. So please kind of as I kind of try to establish a schedule for these, if I can, email me or contact me somehow. Go to my website, purityforlife.me. And find, I'm all over social media, Twitter, Facebook, at purity, at Frank Honus is my own Twitter handle. But go on, like I said, purityforlife.me is the website where you can find all the links to previous podcasts that I've done, This is technically episode 131, if you will, my first kind of Periscope that I've done. But if that's helpful to you, head on over there. Contact me if you need. I'd love to help you in any way possible. If you have questions, anything like that, things you want me to talk about on these Periscopes that maybe you're struggling with, or you'd love some, just some guidance or some help on. And I certainly will do my best to answer those questions. So whoever I see two of you guys out there right now, a grand total of 2 people watching tonight. That's okay. That's fine. Appreciate whatever viewership we get. I'm gonna post these later as well, so you can go back and watch these. I think they're available on Periscope for several hours after they're posted, but I'm going to post these on the website as well, so you can go back and watch them. Also, the notes that I shared tonight, I'll go ahead and copy that into the post as well, and maybe develop some of those thoughts a little bit. So I thank you guys so much for the 3 or 4 tonight who logged on to check out this Periscope. And again, if you need anything at all, if I can help in any way possible, I want to be an encourager for you. I want to, encourage you in your sexual integrity, your sexual health. My name is Frank Honus, and I thank you for checking out this Periscope. PurityForLife.me is the website. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great week, and contact me if you need me, frankhonus@me.com. But anyway, all kinds of ways. Check it out. See you guys soon. God bless.